So, also wir schauen rein. Und zwar, die Omega Moonswatch ist hier auf dem Tisch von Swiss Watch Gang. Und wir gehen mal rein und schauen nach, wie er sie denn so findet. Ich hatte sie bis jetzt nicht in der Hand. Mir war es immer zu teuer und ich fand irgendwie den Preis über Liste nicht interessant für mich. Aber wir schauen mal rein, was hier abgeht.
I didn't buy this at retail, but I also don't regret. Hello, welcome to Swiss Watch Gang, where we usually talk about watches which are more rare, especially when we cover some hidden independent watchmakers. Today we will do the polar opposite. We will talk about the Omega and Swatch collaboration that flooded social media on March 24th this year.
Yeah.
In this video you will hear my thoughts on the watches, where and for how much I bought them, and also why I think it's a good idea for this to have happened for both brands. When the Omega and Swatch watches were released, I happened to be on the Zurich Bahnhofstrasse with my friend Daniel. We were on the way to check out some cool watches at the other retailer. We saw the line of people early in the morning and it was already shocking.
Sehr, sehr interessante Kollaboration, was zeigt auch, wie viele Leute am Ende an Uhren Spaß haben, wie in der Mitte der Gesellschaft so ein Trend angekommen ist. Dass sowas passiert, ist ein gutes Zeichen, ist sehr, sehr gut, ne?
I've seen some videos on my Instagram feed when I woke up from Asia and Australia, but it's different when you see it happen in your town. We ran into two collectors who showed us which models they bought, and that was my first physical encounter with the watches. They told us that they went to stand in line at around 2 or 3 AM in the morning, straight after partying. Even with that type of commitment, they weren't the only ones at the scene at the time, but sooner than the rest. The watches didn't impress me at first, since I don't even own an Omega Speedmaster. That's why I didn't have a personal connection with the model yet. It was a huge media boom, and right after the launch we attended Watches and Wonders. The amount of chatter about the collaboration was in my eyes unprecedented and overshadowed a lot of launches that week. I think this was a great strategic move by Omega and Swatch, and it probably took a lot of sales from other brands away, especially at that price point. The online prices for these watches in the first weeks were outrageous. Some models fetched thousands of dollars on Chrono24. I remember checking Ricardo.ch, and one day after the launch there were more than 100 listings for prices which I couldn't believe. After a while the dust settled and I started looking into the watches and discovering the models, watching YouTube videos and reading a few articles about them. After all was said and done, I wanted to buy a few for myself. After trying a few times at the Swatch boutique here in Zurich and also at the Zurich airport, just by casually walking, I gave up on buying them from the stores. Even today.
Siehst du, er hat sie auch nicht bekommen. Ist leider so, ne? Er hat sie auch nicht bekommen. Ich habe ein paar Bilder gesehen. Es gibt so einen Hersteller, der hat speziell für diesen Anstoß hier so Rubberbänder. Und ich habe die Uhr zum Beispiel mit Rot gesehen. Das sah richtig cool aus.
Months after the release, there are still people waiting outside the boutique and hoping to get on a location, especially on the weekends. I calculated that it didn't make sense to wait, rather let's buy them online. I was willing to go a bit higher for certain models than others, so I started my search. Currently I own a total of 4 different models, 2 that I bought from France and 2 that I bought online in Switzerland. Their price, as you know, is 250 Swiss francs, so I said okay, if I pay 100 to 200 francs more, that's completely fine. So I did. I bought the Pluto, for which I paid 350, I paid 450 for the Mars, 470 for the Saturn, and the most expensive one that I own is the Mission to Mercury, for which I paid 500 Swiss francs.
Wow.
Double retail basically. Spending the extra bucks made sense because the alternative was waiting in line, wasting time and also paying for parking. And time being something I have less and less in my life, I just didn't want to waste it. I want to say that it's okay to buy online and above retail if you really desire these watches. Now the market has cooled off a lot and you can pick most models up from 350 to 600 bucks if you look and negotiate a bit. There's a few different collector profiles with this release. The hardcore speedy fans often criticize the material, feel and overall cheap construction of the watch, which are quite valid points to be honest. But there's also the segment including me.
Alter, das ist eine Plastikuhr, natürlich, die fühlt sich billig an. Was willst du erwarten, ne? Am Ende ist so wie es ist, ne? Was willst du machen?
Who just wants to dip their toes into the whole Speedmaster cult. And to be completely honest, these watches made me want to buy a Speedmaster more than before. I think this was a great move by Omega and Swatch. For one, the amount of visitors the Swatch boutiques have and will continue to have is incredible. Just imagine how many people walk in the boutiques now compared to before. And I'm sure a high percentage of those people buy a Swatch watch on the side.
Guck mal, ich sag eine Sache. Ich finde es mega, dass sie das gemacht haben und ich finde es gut. Und jeder, der darauf Bock hat, soll sich für 500 € so eine Uhr ziehen. Ja, dann ist es halt so, ne? Man gibt genug Geld für Blödsinn aus. Zumindest ich. Alter, ich habe mir letztens Sachen gekauft. Ey, wenn ich euch das zeige, verliert ihr den Verstand. Ich selber verliere den Verstand. Ich selber zweifle an mir selber. Aber auf der anderen Seite, Ist halt heftig, ne? Ich habe zum Beispiel, ich habe eine Dose gekauft, so eine kleine Dose, so eine Dose, oh, eine goldene Dose, aus 1820 oder so. Warum habe ich sie mir gekauft? Damit ich sie da irgendwo reinstellen kann. Aber die ist ja auch nicht so groß, die ist so klein. Das Ding kostet einfach, ich glaube, 5.000 Euro. Aber es ist halt ein Stück Handwerkskunst, ne? Ja. Macht gar keinen Sinn. Aber ich habe es gesehen und ich wollte es haben. Also manchmal, wenn ich auch so überlege, ne, so irgendwie, ich meine, okay, es ist Gold und es ist natürlich auch, ne, aber es ist schon dämlich von mir. Es ist schon von mir selber auch dämlich, ne? Auch die ganzen Uhren hier, ne, diese kleinen Standuhren, ne? Das ist also da muss man ja nicht drüber reden, ne? Zeig mal, wenn es da ist. Es ist da. Aber es ist woanders. Und dafür müsste ich jetzt zwei Stockwerke überwinden und das dauert.
Because let's be honest, some of them are quite cool. And for Amiga, apart from a huge marketing push, I'm sure they sold a lot of real Speedmasters as a side effect of this launch. So in short, both companies hugely profited and a very wide group of people now tasted how it's like to own a Speedy. With the latest news of no online sales confirmed by Mr. Hayek himself due to what he says is a lack of buying experience, I don't see this craze slowing down anytime soon. If you compare the...
Guck mal, das ist auch schlau, ne? Am Anfang haben sie gesagt, ihr könnt die Uhr online kaufen, jetzt hat der CEO gesagt, nee, machen wir doch nicht. Alter, was ist das für eine Nummer? Einfach gelogen.
Swatches to other watches in the price category, they will lose to many. The case is light, sensitive to dent and crack if you drop it on a hard floor. The quartz chrono movement is okay, inside is nothing special and the straps are hard as cardboard at the beginning. I look at these watches really as a gateway into the world of the Speedmaster. Call it a prototype Speedy if you will. Once you soften the strap, the watches actually feel good on the wrist. They have all the visual size proportions more or less and the design cues obviously of the normal Speedmaster, and they're actually fun. What I like about them is the vast choice of colors which you don't have in the normal Omega collection. There's a total of 11 different models because also the Omega Speedmaster was part of the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. Bioceramic, as stated by Swatch, is 1/3 biosourced plastic and 2/3 ceramic. The case has a rough, almost sandblasted look and feel to it, which I like because they look a bit more sporty that way.
So,
soon after,
man kann die Uhr sich mal ziehen, also ne.
After the releases, one of the models showed some other problems, so from what I've seen and have heard, they're currently not producing it. This might change though, so if you work for Amiga or Swatch, please comment down below and let me know if you have any update. I'm talking about the blue Neptune model. Pictures started popping up about the case leaving a blue mark on people's wrists. I think they're looking into it and they might start selling them again, but what's funny is that this spiked the price on the secondary market a lot. So if you check out online, Neptune is probably the only one I'd say that you have to pay that price for. Many people wanted to make a quick buck and bought them high because they probably thought it's a limited release or something. Man oh man, they were wrong. My experiences with the watches so far were good. The chronograph is a bit off when you reset it, which shouldn't happen in my opinion, especially with a quartz watch, and I already scratched the plastic glass on the Saturn model. The Saturn model is also the only one with the planet on the subdial at 6 o'clock, and I just love the color wave. I probably paid the most for the Mission to Mercury because it's the most normal looking and versatile from the collection, together with the Mission to the Moon model. Overall, they are cool watches, you don't have to fear for your life when you wear them, and people immediately recognize that you're a watch enthusiast. The packaging is pretty standard, minimalistic as some other Swatch watches, so don't have a high expectation of a luxury experience when you buy yours. Again, take it as this, and gateway to one day buying the real metal Omega Speedmaster. The watches all feature Luminova, which is bright enough, and Lum is always nice when you drive your car through a tunnel. For hardcore Speedy fans, there's also a dot over 90 on the bezel, which I think is a very nice touch. The plastic, crystal or whatever you want to call it also features a small S in the middle, which is a nice cool element as well. One of my favorite models, although hard to match with an outfit, is the one I'm wearing now, the Mission to Mars, because it resembles the Alaska Project model, with the colors of the red case as well as the subdial hands.
Cool.
Here you can see how the watches look on my 18.1 cm wrist. The case diameter is 42mm, the thickness is 13.25mm, and lug to lug we've got 47.3mm. Overall, they're quite wearable. All the models are water resistant to 30 meters, but I wouldn't really feel comfortable with going to water with these watches, due to the lack of a screw-down crown and just overall feel of it. The Velcro strap is well made, a bit stiff at the beginning, and for what it is, you'll mess it up probably pretty quickly. So if you want to keep them in good condition and keep them for a later time, I would recommend switching them for some nice NATO straps. After all, the Speedmaster is known to be a strap chameleon. Let me know what you think about the Omega and Swatch collaboration, which model you like the most, and also, do you think it's beneficial or will it harm the Speedmaster name long term? I would appreciate if you hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel and you like the video, make sure to subscribe.
Also ich sag mal so, ich finde es cool, dass sie es gemacht haben und ja, also mehr und mehr Leute sollen einfach in Kontakt mit Uhren kommen. Ich finde es einfach eine nice Sache und ja, ich finde es cool. Also kann ich nicht anders sagen.